Watch it guys, welcome back to the Zeusdaz Unemulated Retro Game channel, and I go by the name of Zeus. And we have a very special upload this time. This is to mark my 2000th sub. I actually hit that yesterday. So we're going to do a couple of things on this upload, just to basically dedicate it to you lot who's helped me get to this so far. I'm absolutely over the moon with it. It seems a hell of a lot quicker from when I got to 0 to 1000. From 1000 to 2000 subs, it seems a lightning speed compared to the first 1000. So it's basically, this part of the video is just to say thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad a lot of you are getting some kind of enjoyment out of the video, out of this actual channel, all unemulated of course. That's part of the reason why I think a lot of you subscribe to me, is because of the unemulation fact. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on in this particular upload. So yes, over the moon with it. What can I say? Big grin on my face. When I started this channel a few years ago, I never thought it would get you know, I thought I was expecting to get a few hundred subs, because I was kind of new to YouTube back then, so I didn't really know how it was going to pan out. But here we are, 2000, and yeah, it's quite a nice number to look at. That I'm very over the moon with that. So yeah, thank you very much again, as I said, to all of you. Brilliant. I hope you all still keep subscribing and passing it around to people that you might think that will find this channel particularly interesting. I'm on a few forums, which is World of Spectrum, a couple of Amiga forums. One of them is Lemon, the other one is English Amiga Board, I think it's called, something like that. And I'm on a 64 Lemon, so I'm on a few forums as well. So if any of you got any other ideas how to spread this channel and get the subscription count going up, please drop me a line and give me some hints or tips. It'd be brilliant. At the same time, it'd be great if you lot could pass it round. I take quite a lot of pride in this channel. As many of you know, I'm only one person doing all of this, and I find it quite an intimate channel. I'm very proud that it's to do with unemulation. The amount of work that goes into it is very time consuming, and since doing the Let's Plays and then the shit game times, which seem to be quite popular, it's been taking a lot more of my time. Sadly, I don't get any money for it, which is some of you have actually asked me why I don't monetize it. It's simply because I think, you know, you're really looking into the millions, aren't you, to get any decent comeback. I hit over 1 million views on the channel a couple of months back, but I don't think plastering my games full of adverts, from my point of view, I hate it. I don't really like waiting for around for adverts, and at the same time, there's no point having 1 million clicks for probably a few pence or dimes as far as getting money back from the channel. So yeah, it would be nice to get paid for it, believe me, but for any of you out there that think I'm getting want the sub count up high to get the money, then you're further from the truth. I don't get a penny for this. I just get really stoked that people enjoy it, and I take a lot more pride as well that I do take the time to reply to comments. A lot of other channels don't. They just put the videos up and don't bother sort of communicating with their viewers, whereas I take pride. I actually feel that I do that. So yeah, keep the comments coming. It's brilliant. That gets the channel. That keeps the channel going, and my interest of it going. So anyway, yeah, thanks for that. 2,000 subs, absolutely friggin' brilliant. I'm over the moon with that. So we've got a couple of sections I'm going to do. The first one is I'm going to actually say a big thank you to to all of you. No doubt about that, but this particular section is for those who have really gone out their way to help me one way or another with my channel. So I'm going to start off doing that now. And the first one, I just want to say shout out to Alex. Hello mate, YouTuber Alex86GR, another retro channel. Sadly, and I hope this will change, sadly he hasn't been doing much uploads as of late like he used to in the older days. And I think a lot of that has to do with when Google Plus kicked in. But again, Google Plus, I'll get onto that subject later on the question and answers section. But yeah, I hope, Alex, I hope you start thinking about uploading videos soon, especially as the great news is that Google Plus is going to be dropped from a lot of sites, starting off with YouTube in the very near future. As I said, I'll get onto that a bit later on. But this guy here helped me with so many Amiga games, you wouldn't believe it. I collected heavily for the Amiga 20 or 25 years ago, and there was always games that I didn't have in my collection, or there was games that I did have, but I always... Thing is, when I collected back then, not only did I get the games, but the next level was to get the games with trainers. You know, when you put the disc in, do you want infinite lives, invincibility, all that kind of stuff. So back then, in the good old days, when all you had to do was send discs through the post, get to know your contacts that way, it took a long time, and it was very time consuming. But now with the internet, and it's 25 years on from Amiga games, you can download ADFs if you know how to, and write them onto discs. This guy stepped up to the plate. He was one of my very first early subscribers, and yeah, Alex, again, I've said it before, thanks very much, pal. You've really helped me out of a lot of games that I didn't have, and filled up my the gaps in my collection. So yeah, brilliant, mate. I'm over the moon with that, and I do appreciate it. The next one, a big shout out goes out to Ian for Mutant Caterpillar Games. Now, this guy is fantastic as far as fixing your Spectrum. If you've got a knackered Spectrum, 48K, 16K, 128K, it doesn't matter if it's a Sinclair ZX Spectrum, an official Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and it's knackered or you're having problems with it, this is the guy that will fix them. He will literally bring it right from the grave and get it kicking again. This guy looks after all my consoles and computers, and I wouldn't use anyone else. He's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to leave his link in this video description so you can visit his store and contact him if you've got any problems with your Spectrums. But if you have, this is the guy that will fix them, and really good prices too. So he's brilliant. And the most important thing is I got to know him very well through, it all started through eBay, because I think I had a problem with the Spectrum, and since then I've actually visited him in Wales a couple of times and played loads of retro games there, loads of video machines, gaming machines that I never even heard of, whether they're Russian knockoffs or original stuff from the 70s and 80s. It's quite a wonderland for a retro person anyway, to have a look through. Pretty cool. You know, he's helped me out with a couple of 2-player games as well, so it's been really good. So yeah, he's a really good bloke, and if you've got a problem with your Spectrum, as I said, get in touch with him. Look at the link in this video and it will take you straight to his store. So thanks again, Ian. Another thing he's been doing as well, which I won't forget, is that he's actually lent me consoles to use. He's actually sent me, I've actually got a Super Nintendo with me now. I've never owned one, but he's lent me one to upload a few carts that has been lent to me, or I've bought on the cheap to record them, and other machines as well. He's lent me a Saturn. He's lent me a lot of things, but again, don't hassle him to borrow consoles, because that won't happen. He's strictly there for you to fix your Spectrum. So again, Ian, thanks very much, mate, for doing all that stuff for me and converting Commodore 64 files when I didn't know how to do them. There was so much you did for me, so I really appreciate it, mate. Thanks so much. Nice one, Paddy. The next guy I'd like to thank is a guy called Camille's, not his real name, but that's how I like to be known as. Now, this guy for me, he's a C64 Poke King, and I don't mean that in a rude way. No matter what game I have given him via a file in the email, he has produced the pokes I need for them, even though they've never been made before. There could be a game on all the actual retro game sites with the same pokes, but I need a particular poke to do this certain thing, and he'd come up with them. Thanks to him, or thanks to you, buddy, I've been able to complete so many Commodore 64 games, with cheats obviously, but produce the long plays and put them on my channel, and I've still got a stack load on my hard drive ready to upload. So yeah, you're absolutely brilliant, mate, to come up with these. An absolute diamond to be able to do this, and thanks very much for that, pal. It's absolutely brilliant knowing someone like you to produce these pokes for me when I need them. So again, brilliant. Thanks very much, mate. The next one I'd like to thank is on the World of Spectrum forums, known as JP. Again, the same as before, but this guy does the same for me as far as the Spectrum games go, as far as pokes. Producing pretty much, you know, if there's a problem, so far he's come up trumps. He's actually produced the pokes that I need, which are not on any, even a tip shop, as big as a site that is. Sometimes there's a few pokes, like Infinite Lives. There'd be a game where it's just Infinite Lives, no matter where I go to. I don't want Infinite Lives, because if you die, you got to go right back. I can't get past this. I need an invincibility cheat poke, which has not been obviously produced before, and he does them. So again, JP, thanks very much, mate. I appreciate what you've done, and it's great, and I hope you can still help me again in the future. So thanks a lot, buddy. The next one I'd like to thank is Retro Computer Shack. Now, this shop actually donated me a Sega Mega Drive 1 SCART lead, which is going for about, I think, about 10 or something like that. But he was good enough to donate one to me. So any Mega Drive game you see me upload will have we'll be using the SCART lead, and it's a brilliant picture. So thanks very much. You should go and visit that store. I'll put the link in this video again, and you'll find lots of SCART leads, composite leads, some games as well for all sorts of old retro games and consoles. So if you're fed up, if you're still stuck with your old RF signal, yuck, get in touch with this chap, and he'll sort you out with a decent SCART lead, and you'll get the best picture and sound. So thanks very much again for that, mate. Now on to a few YouTuber buddies. The first one is the Shadows Nose. Now he's helped me with a few little bits and pieces. He's helped me. He's given me Atari 800 XL files. He's converted them for me into WAV format back in the day when I didn't know how to do them, and I was able to, thanks to that, be able to load these games through my original Atari 800 XL and produce the long plays for them, or actually the footage. So again, thanks very much, mate. Andreas, by the way, his name is. I hope you don't mind me saying that, mate. But you've helped me out a lot, and you deserve it. And I think anyone that's followed you knows you anyway. So he's a nice bloke. Goes AWOL now and then, you know what I mean, mate. So, but he does come back and crack on with his channel. So it's a very good channel. Again, I'll put his link in the video description so you can go to it. Lots of Let's Plays on old retro machines. So thanks for your help again, mate. I appreciate that. Next one is Vincent Grease. Thanks very much again for you, mate, for doing several short videos for me to help me get through a few tricky moments. Yeah, this chap's come forward and has been willing to sort of guide me through problems or how to download PS1 games. So again, thanks very much. You've really helped me out in a few of these areas, and it's been cracking of you to actually go to the trouble and produce these videos for me to learn from. So thanks very much, pal. Appreciate that. The next one is Attic Bug. It's a shop that you can buy so many old retro games from. I'll put the link in the description again. You can go to their shop if you're looking for an old original game. That's another very good shop to go to. He donated a Commodore 64 game to me, Agent X2, a long time ago, but I've never forgotten it because I didn't have to pay for it. He just donated it to me, and that was back before the days I knew how to actually download the ROMs, C64 ROMs, and play them through the original hardware. So back then I had to actually pay through eBay for games I wanted. So thanks very much. Visit the shop, and I'm sure you'll find something you'll need. Next one I'd like to thank is Davey from the Death Squad. How are you, mate? Now, it's funny how this friendship sort of got started. He actually contacted me through my channel and asked if I wanted to start playtesting some of his homebrew games. And they are brilliant, some of these homebrew games. You've got to check them out if you don't know anything about them. They're on my channel. And he asked me to actually playtest some of his original games, which I was honoured to do it. I'm more than happy to. And that playtesting got to the point where on one of his games, Willy the Wasp 2, actually I got credited on the title screen as Zeusdaz for bringing ideas into the game and playtesting and all that lot. So I was over the moon to see my alias name up on an original game. And even better is he's working on a game called Drone Strike or something like that. Sorry, I know Willy the Wasp 3, but he doesn't like it to be called like that. Wants to rename it, but that's what the core of it is. It is Willy the Wasp in it, but it's called Drone Strike. I think it's something like that. And I will actually be producing the voices in that game. That's going to be coming out on the Spectrum Vega. Hopefully he's going to produce, just for me, a bit boasting there, but he's going to produce an actual normal ZX Spectrum 128K version of it for me to play through, because I haven't got a Spectrum Vega. So that's going to be using all sorts of new wonderful colours. So I'm going to be producing the sounds mainly of the boss, the bad guy. So that's going to be interesting. But his other games include Thunder Turds, what was it? Sorry, what was the other game? Dunderak and Arsewipe. Yes, as in arse wipe. You've got to check these games. They're so full of toilet humour. It's unbelievable. So much Monty Python type stuff in it. They're hilarious. Look at them up on my channel. Arsewipe's brilliant. You've got to get rid of the evil Jimmy Savile. I just think that's so funny. And one of the levels, I think it was the second from last, the 19th level. I don't know if you know Jimmy Savile's old program, Jim Will Fix It. You would know if you lived over here in the UK in the 80s. But used to sit in this massive chair, and the badges used to say Jim Will Fix It. But the level 19 has got these badges on the wall and the chair saying Jim Will Rape It. I thought that was brilliant. So yeah, but check his games out. They're absolutely brilliant. So okay, thanks very much, Davey. I will get in touch about the voices again and update you on hopefully you update me what's going on with your latest game. And the last person I'd like to thank personally is, even though I paid for it, but a chap called Andrew. I bought a Sega Mega Drive Everdrive from him, and he had to convince me to buy it. It cost me about 80 quid. And it is one of the friggin' best things I ever bought as far as retro machine things. This is like, it's basically a Mega Drive cartridge which sits in the actual original Sega Mega Drive. And in that cartridge, it's a see-through red one I've got. In that cartridge is a little SD holder, puts your SD card in. And on that card, for 80 quid, I have got every Sega Mega Drive game you can think of on there. And every Sega Master System game on there. It's well over 1,200, 1,300 games on there. All on one memory stick. So you just turn it on, and there it is. I've got the entire library of everything, Mega Drive and Master System on that little SD card. And because it's going through the original Master System, Mega Drive, it's an emulation. It's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, if you're a hardcore collector as far as Mega Drive and Master System goes, you want the original boxes on the shelf. But could you imagine 1,200 games on the shelf? That'd be a ridiculously huge room. I'm not into it that much, but this is such a useful device and a brilliant. You know, if you haven't got one, get one. It's absolutely brilliant. You get them on eBay. I was lucky enough that this chap actually did all the boring bits for me. You know, got the card programmed and put all the games on there, whereas most of you for eBay, when you buy one, you probably just get the blank SD card and with instructions, and it will tell you what to do, and then you got to go and find the ROMs and download them. But I was lucky he did all that for me. So even though I paid for it, I appreciate you bending my arm, Andrew. It was a brilliant thing you did to get me to change my mind, and I'm glad I bought it. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and thanks for that I can produce long plays and let's plays of them, and even shit game times with them if I wanted to. So thanks very much, buddy. So they're the guys I wanted to say thank you personally to. I hope I haven't forgot anyone else out. The rest of you that comment on me on my channel regularly, again, that's a huge thank you to you. I really appreciate it. But these persons are actually physically giving me items and help me out with videos and stuff, so they've really gone out their way to help me. So thanks very much. I totally appreciate what you've done. So with that in mind, what we're going to do now? Yes, questions and answers. Questions for Zeus. Yeah, now I thought I was going to get quite a few questions, and bloody hell I did. So I've actually write them down. So I'm going to go through them now. Some have been repeated, so I've tried to filter them down a bit. So we'll go through them now. This is where I've opened up a little bit. I didn't really want to do, back in the day, I really didn't want to show too much about myself. I was new to it. I just wanted the channel to be kind of a mysterious, even it's a retro game channel, but about me a bit mysterious, and nobody knew who I was, that kind of thing. But as the time has gone on, I've opened up now. So I don't mind answering a few questions and answers, and I thank you for so many questions. We're going to go through them now. I haven't learnt them. I've just wrote them down, so we're going to go through them, and you might catch me out on a few of these, but we'll see. So let's start off. Right, Mother Hen. This has come from Mother Hen 2012. First question: is there a reason you don't use emulators? Surely the recording process would be easier. It's a good point. Why don't I use emulators? Well, before I did this channel, I was obviously looking through YouTube and doing looking at retro games, that kind of thing. And as time went on, I started asking myself, that don't look right to me. My memory isn't that bad. That doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't look right. That doesn't play right. There's something, and I don't remember those colours. But nah, there's something wrong there. So then I went back to my computer. If I knew I had the game, mostly for my Amiga or Spectrum, I'd load it up and check it, and I was right. There were differences, and that is why I started to do the retro game channel. I thought, well, hang on a minute. There's a lot of retro game channels on here, and they're all emulated. But what about unemulation? So I thought, well, how would we do that? Well, a light bulb went off in my head, and I told myself, well, you've got shitloads of games for the Amiga. You've got shitloads of games for your Spectrum for a start off, so why don't you try it? Upload a channel and see how it goes. And that's how it all came about. It was all because I wasn't comfortable with a lot of the footage I've seen. It's good if you haven't got the original hardware, then emulation's the way to go. You know, it's close enough. But if you want to see the real deal, you know, and you know what you're watching is the real thing, there's no disguising it, there's no manipulation, it's the real footage you're seeing, then the original hardware is the way to go. You can't beat it. And there's also a good feel factor about it, loading up a game in original hardware. It's a different feeling to emulation. Yes, the recording process is a lot more difficult. I'm sure it'd be a lot easier with the emulation. But once you get the swing of it, it's quite easy. It's just a matter of a SCART lead or composite leads from your device into your DVD hard drive recorder. Yeah, and it's that simple as that. So it can be a little bit time consuming because you do have to obviously play the game. Then you got to edit it. Then you got to burn it onto DVD. Then you got to put it on your PC, import it from that. Then convert it to a smaller file with just a good picture, but compact it because YouTube, it would take forever to load on YouTube, and then upload it on YouTube. It sounds a lot, but it's very easy after a while once you get some practice. So that's why I started that channel. Next question is, what's your top 3 video games of all time? Oh my goodness me. What is my top 3? Bloody hell. Well, I assume you include arcade machine games with that as well. I assume that. So some of you might be surprised or shocked, but I'm sorry. I was in the day when they wheeled this machine in, and I have the original arcade machine in my front room. Well, not the original. I have the typical 2 joystick 6 buttons per side jammer arcade machine used to see in the old arcades with it in. But my first game is Street Fighter 1. I love it. I think it was brilliant. It's a damn shame that all the uploads on YouTube, including my one, don't show it how it really is, which is the footage you see is jerky, the sound is distorted. You've got to see the original machine in motion to see it, and that's why I'll never get rid of mine, especially after the friggin' disgraceful conversions that Teotex did. I just promised myself as a young kid that I would one day own it, and I have. I've actually got 5 arcade boards of Street Fighter 1, just in case they die. So yeah, that's number 1. Target Renegade on the Spectrum 128K. Oh my god, that was heaven playing that, especially in 2-player game. The kids went nuts in the schools over here anyway. In the UK, it was just a fantastic game. It really was. And if I had to choose another game from another format, I think it would be the Chaos Engine on the Amiga 500. That is an absolute gem of a game. That really is a beauty of a game. So there's so many games, mate. There's so many games from different formats. To nail them down into the top 3, even I'm thinking about, oh my god, there's others that would be up there too. So off the top of my head, yeah, it'd be Street Fighter 1, Target Renegade for the 128K Spectrum, and Chaos Engine. So there you go. Next question is, what's your biggest disappointment game-wise of all time? In other words, what game was you really looking forward to but was a big pile of giraffe shite? Oh, well, there's only one game for me, mate, and I'm going to say it again. That was Street Fighter 1. Now, that was for the Atari ST. That was for the 16-bits. I remember at school, I was selling off my Spectrum collection. So we're going back at about 1987. And selling games for £1, £2, £1.50, you know, that kind of thing. You know, if I was anyone else, if I was someone, you know, I'd be a millionaire. You know, somebody could. You've heard people making their fortune. They used to sell records out of a car boot, and before you know it, they're owning a multi-billion company. You know, unfortunately, I didn't get that luck, but that's what I did. I sold the games off because I wanted an Atari ST. I saw screenshots of Street Fighter 1, and I loved that game in the arcade at that time. We all did. We used to pile down the arcade on Saturday mornings and play that game. It was a queue playing that game. So I thought, oh god, this looks brilliant. Oh my god, I've got to get this. So I saved, and so I sold my stuff. I eventually got the money and got an Atari ST, and I got the game. And when I loaded it up, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was gutted. I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really couldn't. And I know why, because excuse my language, but the fucking bastards who programmed it, US Gold that published it, they used the arcade screenshots for the Atari ST screenshots. So fooling kids like me. I mean, I stayed with my Atari ST for about a year before the Amiga won my heart. So I got over it a little bit, but not a lot. And I had other great games for the Atari ST, which was the reason why I kept it for a good year or so. But that broke my heart. That really did. I think they should have been sued for false advertisement for doing that. You check in the old mags, you'll see Street Fighter 1. If you see a Street Fighter 1 poster and Atari ST screenshots, that's the arcade bloody screens they're using, the bastards. So if I was anywhere near that company, I would have gone in there with my dad and really pissed off about it. But yeah, so it was Street Fighter 1. That broke my heart that time. And that was when I promised myself one day I will own. The only way to do it is to own the actual arcade machine, and I'm looking at it right now, so I'm over the moon. So there you go. Thanks for your questions, Motherhen 2012. That was very interesting in answering those. So we're going to go on to a chap called Dreamcatcher. I hope I've pronounced that right. His question is, have you got any controversially awful games in the lineup, meaning ones you hate but are rated highly? So what you're asking me is games that I think are shit, but magazines thought they were actually very good. I can't actually answer that. I don't know, because without looking at old magazines, I don't know what they've rated them at, or looking at the internet and going through trying to find some old PDFs and see what the ratings were. I don't exactly know how much they've rated some of these old games. So I mean, I could do a shit game time of Set Willy on the Atari 800 XL. I've actually done it on a Let's Play, and that should have been a shit game time. If you watch that on my channel, you'll see how annoyed and frustrated I am with it. But that was before I invented that shit game time category. So it ended up as a Let's Play. Now, to me, that is, apart from the tune at the beginning, the game is absolutely fucking turd. It is terrible. But there's probably a magazine out there that gave it 80%. You know, we know back in the past there's games that have been given high ratings, and you're looking at the guys that are writing these magazines and publishing them, thinking, what are you on? This is crap. What are you actually watching? What are you playing? It's something different to what I am, because what I'm seeing is absolutely crap. So I don't know. I really don't know. I do get some flack sometimes of when I've unfairly, in their mind, slated a game, and they feel it isn't. Maybe it's they've got ties with it back in their kids and they remember it back from school and they have fond memories from it. I don't know, but I'm a very non-biased reviewer. I'll say how it is, and I think that's the best way. If I believe it's good, I'll say it. If I believe it's crud, I'll say it, and there's no in between. So it's a bit tricky to answer that one, mate. I'm afraid I can't really say much about that. But yeah, and thanks for your question anyway. But yeah, that's a tricky one, that. Right, question from Alex Reality. Ooh. Which home computer is the best of all time? Wow. Okay. Does that include the things like the Amiga 3000, you know, like the actual computers, or are we talking about computer games like, you know, your Spectrums, your Commodore 64s, your Amstrads, your Atari STs, your Amigas? You know, they're considered computer game machines. After that was consoles. So you don't get computer games anymore, only for your PC. But so I'm going to narrow it down to what I think is the best computer game video machine of all time. So we're going back to the 80s and early 90s. And, well, two of them ruled the roost in the 80s. We know that. That was the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64. They were the two big boys back in the day. And the two bigger brothers of the war was the Atari ST and the Amiga. That's a fact. But if you put a gun to my head and told me which one was the best, Commodore 64 and Spectrum, they were wonderful machines. They really were, and I've got both of them. And the Atari ST was a cracking machine to begin with, but the sound chip let it down, sadly. If you can get over that, that's fine. But yeah, there was a weakness to that machine. So without a shadow of a doubt, the Amiga 500 was the most fantastic, wonderful machine ever made for gaming back in the 80s and early 90s. And yes, it was helped by a massive piracy collection deal going on there. Everyone used to swap games and copy them. That's what made it so friendly for... Well, when you're a kid, you don't think of things like... You buy the odd original, but you don't think of things like... You just think about building up your collection as cheaply as possible. And the extra delight was a lot of these games you'd load up and you'd have a trainer, so you could have cheats and all that sort of stuff. So that was the bad point. The bad part of that was, yes, it was having a knockoff effect on the industry. Not so much that it destroyed the Amiga 500. It didn't. That was destroyed within the company itself. That was down to management and bad decision making. But the Amiga survived as far as the piracy, as far as I'm concerned. But the Amiga 500, yeah, it's a wonderful machine. The amount of power you can get from it when you've got talented programs is incredible. You look at Shadow of the Beast, you got your Turrican games, Chaos Engine, Hybris, which was 1987, and that really set a cornerstone for games. That did. There's so many games. So yeah, for me, the Amiga 500 was the king of computer machines back in the 80s and early 90s. So thanks for that question. Okay, right, let's have a look here. We've got quite a few. Couple of questions here from Metacooler. I hope I've pronounced your name right, mate. What is your least favourite video system you own? What is the least favourite video system I own? Whatever I say, I'm going to get flack, aren't I? So don't take it personally, but he's asked me and I've got to say it. In my collection, I've got a PS3. I've only really got that for one game, and that's Wipeout HD. That's an incredible game. PlayStation 2, which is a brilliant, best console ever, I think, mainly for guys like me, because it came out with tons of shooters and loads of arcade emulated compilation discs. So if you liked arcade versions, you really wanted to play the real deal, and the PS2 would come out with loads of compilations of those arcade games. So it's pretty like Tato Legends 1 and 2, Capcom Classic Collections 1 and 2, you got Midway Treasures, I think it's called 1, 2 and 3, something like that. But that's a brilliant console. I got a PS1 that's unchipped, so I can play Burn Discs and Ironhander, which I think is the most incredible shoot 'em up ever, personally. But you need a chip PlayStation to play that if you're in Europe, because the bastards didn't release it over here. What else have I got? I've got Commodore 64s, I've got Spectrum 128, Mega Drive. My least favourite, I would have to say, is, and I'm sorry, don't take this personally, but I've been asked a question here, so please don't put me at the firing squad. And it is my Amstrad CPC 464. I did have one for just a few weeks back in the early 90s. I never liked it. I didn't like how slow the games were. The colours were terrible a lot of the time. It was such a big, chunky looking thing. It looked like it was made for literal kids. Big different colour buttons. The machine was nearly 2 foot long. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I own one now. I was persuaded to get one on the cheap, and so I can upload games now by downloading the ROMs. So there's some good games on it, don't get me wrong, but it was the weakest out of the three, especially in the UK. We all know it. We've got to admit it. It was behind the Spectrum and the Commodore 64, but it is what it is, whether you like it or whether you don't like it. But for me, that probably is my weakest one. If I had to sell one, if somebody said to me, you're going to sell one, whether you like it or not, if the court said, for whatever reason, you've got to get rid of it, it would be the Amstrad 464. I can live without that machine if I had to. Right, next question he asked me is, besides Street Fighter 1, is there any arcade you would like to own? Well, I have a Jammer machine. And the good thing about that is, if you know anything about Jammer, you can swap the game boards around. So at the moment in my collection, back in the 90s, I collected a lot. I had about 60 arcade boards, and that included the likes of all the Street Fighter 2s, which I don't really like. Street Fighter 1, which I still have. I had Street Fighter 3, that cost me quite a lot of money. I've Double Dragon 1 and 2, I still own those. Killer Instinct, I had that briefly, but it was a very dodgy, delicate board. It used to fail quite a lot. In the end, I luckily got a refund from the company that sold it to me, because you never knew from one day to the next when you switched it on whether the board would develop a fault. It was had a very poor there was a hard drive attached to that board, and it was weak design. It was very fragile. But I don't know. I mean, I've got Street Fighter 1, Double Dragon 1 and Double Dragon 2. That's the only games now I have for my arcade machine. I did have all the Super Street Fighter 2s and Street Fighter Alphas, but I sold that to a chap in Spain for around 500 quid, because you can get them on the PS2 compilations now exactly the same, so that didn't bother me. But if there's one that I would really like to own, that I don't think I ever will, it would be Tempest. I you get them sold in America, but you just don't seem to see them over here in the UK. It's a sad thing that the UK, gaming wise, arcade machines, we seem to have just discarded them. They've gone, whereas America is still a big thing. Endless repair people for them, loads of places that have arcade machines. But over here, unless there's an event going on, a special event, the only thing you go in now when you go into amusements in your down the coast or in a beach or whatever, is fruit machines. That's all you see now, or maybe one dedicated dance machine or a driving machine. It's a sad shame that the youth today didn't grow up in that era when you used to go into a big hall and see hundreds of video machines stood around. The Final Fights, Street Fighter ones, your Killer Instincts, your Double Dragons, your Outruns. I used to own Outrun arcade. Oh, there were so many. It was such a magical time. I personally blame. I actually blame the PlayStation 1 for killing that off, because when the PlayStation 1 come along, that kicked the butt of everything. That set a whole new standard, and finally we were getting games where the actual graphics were better than the arcade machines coming back. So eventually, plus I think cost. You can imagine these arcade machines, the amount of wood and TV screens they use, costs a lot of money for just one game, you know. So it's a shame it's all come to an end, but there we go. But Tempest, yes. There was one sold over here about a year ago on eBay for £1,000. Now, even if I bought that, there's just hardly any repair guys. If that had a problem, a fault, I wouldn't have a clue how to fix it. So Tempest, yeah, would be a game I'd love to own. And if anyone's got one in the UK and is willing for me to let me play it, I'd love to play it again. The last time I saw it live was about 30 years ago as a kid. I'd love to play it again, to see it on the Vector screen. That would be magical. So yeah, there you go, mate. Tempest 1. Well, there was only one. Tempest, the original, is the game I would like to own. Right, this game, this question comes from a Vegan Cape. I hope that's pronounced correctly. Vegan Cape. Sorry if it isn't. What is your favourite and least gaming genres and why? You know, what type of games do I like? My biggest, the games I like the most is shoot 'em ups. Old classic 2D space shoot 'em ups. You know, your Hybrises, your Battle Squadrons. You know, all there's endless amounts. Your R-type kind of shoot 'em ups. It's shoot 'em ups, yeah, and good platform games of the late 80s, early 90s. I like some platform games too, some beat 'em ups, that kind of thing. I don't like role playing. I don't like adventure. You know, games like Populous, Zelda, a lot of Japanesey sort of looking games. I don't like any of them. So for me, yeah, good old shooters, Chaos Engine, you know, Alien Breeds, and your beat 'em ups like your Double Dragons and that. That's my sort of games I like. Shoot 'em ups, beat 'em ups, and platform games like your Turricans and your Rough and Tumble, Wolf Child. Yeah, those sort of games I really like. But the games I don't like is your adventure type, your role playing, that kind of thing. It doesn't interest me at all. Right, a few questions here from CRL Group. What music and tunes are your favourite? What type of music do you like, and the tunes, as in normal music? I like anything, mate, that pleases my ear. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, while good music is in the ear of the beholder. And I like anything from heavy metal to classical. I don't like opera. I'm not a fan of R&B or hip hop at all. I certainly don't watch these programs like you know, these reality shows, singing shows. Can't stand them. I like Elvis. You know, I'm an 80s as far as music goes. I suppose 80s. I like most of the stuff from there when music videos used to come out. They were pretty cool. Marillion. Yeah, Marillion. What else do I like? Oh, blimey. Motorhead, Alice Cooper, Police. Did I say that? I can't remember. Loads of one-hit wonders in the 80s I liked. Pink Floyd, the 70s Pink Floyd. Oh God, there's so many. There's absolutely so many. And classical music. So I've got an ear for everything. An absolute ear for everything. How old am I? All I'll say is I'm not too old to get an erection without the aid of pills or injections. So that's all you need to know. So I'm not too young and I'm not too old. So we'll leave it as that. My favourite alcoholic drink. Never been a drinker. I've only got wasted twice in my life, and it took 3 days of my life away in misery because of it. I get pissed on a pint of lager. And in fact, I drink a pint, I piss 3. My body just don't like it. But if I had to go all night steady drinking, it would probably be JD and Cokes. They seem to agree with me fine. When I was younger, I used to do a drink called tequila cucaracha, which is warmed up, heated up Tia Maria and tequila gold. You put that in, you set it on fire, and it's up to you if you want to blow the flame out and drink it, or drink it with flame, whatever. But I used to make them, and I held the bar record actually at that time. 12 I had. I was totally wasted. Earned a free cup of coffee for that. Waste. That didn't do much for me, but yeah, it'd be JD and Coke. I have some in the kitchen, a bottle here and there. I might have a little drink once in a while, but I could take it or leave it. I could go months without a pint of lager. I wouldn't be bothered at all. So yeah, if I had to have a drink, I had to spend all night drinking. It would be JD and Cokes. Ever been to Germany? Yes, I have been to Germany, but sadly not to look round. I've been on a huge world trip with my wife before she became my wife. I did a 6-month world trip, 6 months, around 23 different countries, starting from the UK, going through Russia, Egypt, Maldives, Dubai, Malaysia, China, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, Hawaii, Vancouver. Then I did the States, finished off in Barbados, and came back to Britain. So it was that was a hell of a experience, that was. But it was bloody knackering, all those airports. I did 56,000 miles air flight in the end. That's like stretching a line out, go around the world 2.5 times. So but Germany, I only stopped as a stop off. I had to change planes when coming back from Poland. So yes, I did visit Germany, but sadly I didn't get to see it. Maybe one day. I've been to Moscow, so I'd like to probably go to Germany and see what's happening there. So yeah, that's by CR Group. So thanks for your questions on that one, mate. Next question is by One Room Shed. Why don't you play more Nintendo games? Interesting question. Why don't I play Nintendo games? Well, number one, I don't have any Nintendos, and there's a reason for that, or a couple of reasons for that. Back in the 80s and early 90s, there was 2 main Nintendo machines, as we all know. That was the NES and the SNES. So the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, and both of them were at war with the Master System and the Mega Drive. I never owned a Master System, and I never owned a NES. I was more into my Spectrums, Commodore 64s and Amigas. So I never went down the console road. Later on, the war became Mega Drive versus SNES. And I was won over the Mega Drive. I did like the Mega Drive, which I own now. I preferred the games on them. I preferred the look of the machine. It just looked cool. It looked slick. It was a nice looking machine. Whereas the Nintendo and the SNES and the Nintendo SNES, to me, they were ugly. They were really ugly looking machines. And the SNES is also Famicom, as we all know. But they were just grey, bulky and ugly. The Nintendo was like a big brick. The Super Nintendo itself looked like it was designed for a 4-year-old. Everything about it was clunky. I'm looking at one now which was lent to me, which has been lent to me so I can do some cartridge games. I mentioned that earlier. The cartridges are huge. The eject button is as big as a matchbox. The off and on button is as big as your bloody car key. And your reset button, is as big as the bloody button on my cooker. I just didn't like it. It looked too childish for me. Whereas the Mega Drive was more sleek, and it looked like it was built for more older people, more teenagers and upwards. But I just didn't like the games on them. There wasn't enough games I liked on a Nintendo. But there will be some Nintendo games. As I said, I've had a Super Nintendo lent to me, and I've got saved up on my hard drive, thanks to guys either lending me the cartridge or me buying a couple. I've got R-Type 3 ready. I've got Final Fight 2 and 3. Axelay, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's a shoot 'em up. Chaos Engine, Killer Instinct, Uni Rally, Super Aleste. There might be a couple more games, but anyway, you've got about 8 to 10 games that I've actually done on the SNES, so they will be uploaded at some point. They've already been recorded, or I'm in the middle of doing them. So that's the reason why there's not enough Nintendos. I just don't own the machines, and I didn't fall in love with them enough to own one. Couple of questions here from Richard LaFlamme. Is that right? Richard LaFlame? I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Why did you start your channel? Again, as I said earlier, the reason I started it was because I felt that there wasn't enough real footage of the real games it was all emulation. There was, if you put emulation next to the real hardware, you will see differences. I guarantee you, you will see differences. It depends how fussy you are, whether it's the graphics, the gameplay, the speed, or the sound. There are differences. And I thought to myself, you know, fans of the past, fans of the machines of the past deserve better than that. They deserve to remember how they actually were. So that's how I started it. I just thought, right, let's do an unemulated retro game channel. And that's what it's become. It's hit 2,000 subs now, and hopefully it'll hit at least another 2,000 more. So it seems to have hit the people at home quite well, certain fans and certain enough people to subscribe to me. They like it. So that's the reason why I did the started the channel. Next question from him is, do the shit games really piss you off? Yes, they do. Seriously. What you hear in my commentaries are not exaggerated. They're not there to get people suckered in and have a good laugh. It's real McCoy. It's the real deal. It would feel fake if I put it on. If you hear me curse, it's because I'm angry. If you hear me get me frustrated, it's because I'm frustrated. That's all there is to it. If it's a shit game, I will let you know it's a shit game. Yes, that's mostly during my shit game times. I should really put a tag on there saying contains swearing. People seem to, when they see that, go to those videos and view them more. But yeah, I've lost my temper in a few of them. Set Willy, which ended up on a Let's Play to begin with, that contains a lot of cursing. Same as Crazy Cars 2. If you want to hear me lose my rag, go to Crazy Cars 2 Let's Play of Crazy Cars 2. Yeah, I lost my tempo there. Sometimes games are so bad I actually find it funny. I start laughing. But yes, legitimately they do piss me off. So none of it is rehearsed, mate. Okay, 2 questions from Ransom. Hello, buddy. Thanks for these. Why the name Zeusdaz? Well, 2 answers to that. The first part is Zeus. Now, back in the day of swapping games, you know, piracy and that kind of thing, we always had the fear as kids of the police, one of us snitching on the other. We wouldn't have, but there was a fear of if the police burst in our doors, took all our copied games away and everything, and swapping games in the post and putting magnetic media on the jiffy bags and trying all sorts of tricks and putting sellotape on the stamps so you could reuse them. All this stuff, you know, in the end you don't want to put your full name. So contacts, you know who I am, you know who you are if you did it in the day. You pick your own contact name, and I just picked up Zeus, and I liked the name of it. It looked good, and I thought, Zeus, I like that. That's cool. And it was so cool, in fact, that one of my contacts back in the day designed my Zeus logo, which is what you see on my normal long plays. You'll see a gold Zeus. He designed that for me. And wherever you are out there, mate, if you ever see any of my videos, thank you very much. It was so, when I loaded that up for the first time, got the discs back and saw that, I was jumping around the room like crazy. I was so stoked. It was so cool. And of course you see it on my Let's Plays and shit game times as well, different colour, but that's me. I've tampered with the colours for those. So that was the reason for the Zeus. And Daz, well, it's no secret now, you've probably heard me in my commentaries. My name's Darren. So, you know, I could have called the channel Zeus, but the trouble is when you put Zeus on any channel, any search engine, most of the time it'll come up the Greek god Zeus, so you never get to see my channel. But if you type in Zeusdaz, every search engine will come up immediately with my channel. So you'll find it straight away. No matter what search engine you use, type Zeusdaz in, and you'll go straight to my channel. So there you go. That's the secret of the name Zeusdaz. I like Zeus, and my name's Darren. Video showing my setups and how I record them. Yeah. Well, that won't be for this video. I might do that in the future, just to show you exactly how I do record my footage and how I upload them. I'll take a random machine, whether it's the Amiga or Spectrum or Commodore 64, whatever, and just do a short video. Yeah, that might be possible. That's possible. So stay tuned for that. Maybe one day we'll think about that one. Okay, next question's by a gamer called sorry about this, Aris Vega Gamer. Is that right? Aris, I'm sorry if it's wrong, but you know who you are. It's not Avid Gamer, it's Aris Vega Gamer. Anyway, he's asked me, what is your favourite Mega Drive Genesis game? Wow. Yeah. When I first saw the Mega Drive, I first saw Rambo 3. I loved that. That was much better than the 8 and 16 bits versions that we got, the Amiga and ST and all the other versions. When I saw Rambo 3 on the Mega Drive, I fell in love with that. That was brilliant. That determined me to get the actual console. I've played Vector Man #1. That's such a stylish, cool looking game. It really is a lovely looking game. Streets of Rage 1, Golden Axe 2. I love those games. But if you had to leave me with one game to play for the Mega Drive, it would be Streets of Rage 2. That is a fucking fantastic game. It is such a brilliant game. I prefer them to the actual Final Fight games. Yeah, it's a brilliant game. Fantastic music. Yeah, and if you've got the code on, you can play two players the same, so you can play two Codies, and it's a brilliant game. So yes, pal, Streets of Rage 2 for the Mega Drive is my all-time favourite for the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis machine. Okay, right, we've got quite a few questions from two more now. Once I do these ones, there's a few questions that have been asked from people who don't want to remain anonymous, so I'll leave them till last. So anyway, here we go. These questions are from Katakis. All right, buddy, thanks very much for these. Right, first question is, do you read Retro Gamer magazine? If so, do you read articles that determine your long plays and let's plays and shit game time videos? No, I don't. I've had a quick flick through Retro Game. I've had a couple of... I've never bought one. I've had a flick through while in the shops and just read a few. I've actually emailed the guy who publishes it to see if he'd be interested in maybe mentioning my channel, but on 2 occasions he's not even replied to me. So it's a kind of sour grapes kind of, well, screw you then, you know. You won't even acknowledge and say yes or no, so I ain't going to acknowledge reading your mags. You know what I mean? I'm sure he gets loads of emails, but it's not all that. It's not like the past when I was younger and I used to buy them and used to cut out the pictures and stick them in scrapbooks and make my own magazines, that kind of thing. So no, I don't. I just judge from my past what I remember the games, and I think, yeah, that needs a shit game time, let's do that. So that's how I do it. That needs a let's play, that needs a long play. It's out of memory, it's nothing to do with magazines. So no, I don't buy any magazines, and I don't actually read them to determine what I do, pal. Next question, did you ever own those big box Amigas like the A300? No, I didn't. I wasn't a computer version person back then. I wasn't into programming and stuff like that. So no, simple answer is no, I didn't own any of them. Do you ever use a Gotek floppy emulator, or just stick with the Amiga floppy drive? If the latter, don't you ever fear read errors on the discs? Excuse me. No, I don't. I don't use any floppy emulators. No, I don't. It's all the original discs. Do I fear there's going to be read errors? No, because this in day and age now. Also, I've got to meet a few people for YouTube. They can also always do a few backups for me if need be. But I've protected my discs so carefully in the last 25 years. I keep them in a metal, a big professional metal toolbox, all foamed in the inside, and my discs in there. Still to this day, they all work fine. So it all depends, I think, how you look after them. If you store them away in a dark box or whatever, you're going to be all right in cool temperature. If you leave them on the side in daylight and stuff like that, you're going to get problems. So no, I use the original discs and I don't fear of read errors. So if one of my games do get messed up, I can always get it again with downloading an ADF file. So yeah, no. When you do long plays that involve 2 players, do you always play with your wife or someone else? A good question. Both. I've always tried to upload long plays of 2-player co-op games in 2-player mode, because most channels load them up in 1-player mode. So I like to go one better and do it in 2-player. That way you get to see the other ship, the other fighter, whatever it is you're using. So a lot of my 2-player games, you'll either see it's either my wife playing with me, or it's one of my mates who I get to meet once every few weeks playing with me. So there you go. It's either my wife or one of my mates. But it's not any of my mates from my school days, because I've lost contact with all of them years ago. So sadly, that's a shame, but that's the way it is, and we all grow up and take our own roads. Right. Is your wife a true retro gamer? If so, how many games does she play a week, and how often does she turn on your Amiga or other machines? Well, no, she's not a retro gamer. She loves playing them. She never had one when she was younger, but luckily I've got a wife who actually enjoys playing games with me. So no, she doesn't play any games during the week. She only plays 2-player games when I'm actually doing a 2-player recording. And This bit about how often does she turn on your Amiga or other machines? Never, never. I'll tell you something. No one touches my machines, and that's all there is to it. You know, I think personally, if no, that's just a no-go question there. No, she doesn't. Nobody would touch my machines. They're for me only. I'm very protected of them, and yeah, no, she doesn't turn on my consoles or computer machines while I'm not in the house. No, she only plays with them when I've actually got them turned on. So that's the question there. If she did, I'd probably go a bit crazy. What would I do? I don't know. I don't know how I'd do it, but I'd probably somehow steal a helicopter. I'd probably steal a helicopter and search for those people that I didn't like or one way or another pissed me off back in my youth. And I'd probably just, one of these Apache helicopters, you know, those machine guns. So I'd probably go and search them and I'll find one or two of the guys. Oh, you bastard. And I go, so that's the sound of a machine gun. I'll shoot them down. I'll probably go to my ex-company and just again go, oh, I'm back, you bastards. And then I'll get the nuclear rocket and blast the buildings. And then I'll probably shoot their tyres out just before that again, go, so the machine gun bullets are actually completely slaying all their tyres, including their spares, so they couldn't do anything about that. Yeah, and blow the building up. And I'd probably fly out somewhere in the fields or maybe the sea and probably crash in the ocean in a big ball of flames. Apart from that, no, I wouldn't let anyone touch my machine. So there you go. There's your question. So don't touch my machines, otherwise I might get Apache helicopter on your ass. Right. Okay. Next question. Would you be willing to meet up with any of your subscribers if you know them well enough online, just to have a few beers or play a few of your favourite games? It's possible. It's possible. I'm not a weirdo. As long as you're not a weirdo, then everything's cool. Yeah, I mean, I've had a request before of someone wanting to interview me about games or retro games, and at the time I was reluctant to do it. And as the weeks and a couple of months went on, I thought, all right, okay, maybe all right. Then I'll contact him, but he never contacted me back. I guess he got fed up with waiting, or he found someone else. So there you go. So it's possible. I wouldn't rule it out. It is possible. I've had plenty of other channels asking me, would you like partnership? Now, I don't know if you can help me out on that. I don't really know what that involves, partnership and all this bollocks. I've had so many offering me partnership with their channel, but I don't know what does that mean for me? What do I get out of it? I don't know, so I've not done it. There's loads of them in my not my spam YouTube spam box, but they're in my messages box. There's loads of them offering me to partner up with them, but I haven't done it yet because I don't really know what it involves. But yeah, having an actual interview about games and that's possible. Meeting someone, well, I've met someone through eBay, as I said. I've got to go around their place a couple of times and record stuff and have stuff lent to me. So no, I wouldn't rule that out. That's a possibility. Do you have any movies of all time? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean, do I have any favourite movies of all time? What's my favourite movie of all time? Is that what you're asking? There's a lot of great movies. I do like movies. But some of you might laugh at this, but as a kid, I fucking loved Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. I loved it. I must have watched those two films 100 times. Telling you, I just loved those two films, those Rocky films. Loved them. And the Rambo films, I loved them too. Your Terminators, your Commandos, your Running Man. So I'm kind of a diehard. I'm a kind of a Stallone Schwarzenegger kind of area for films. But again, Casino, Goodfellas. Oh God, there's a lot. Aliens. What else? The comical. What was that film? Not too. Snatch. That was brilliant. Monty Python films. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. There's so many. There really is so many. But yeah, I used to love Rocky 4. But I like darker films as well. Like No Country for Old Men. You know, Pulp Fiction was a cracker. Reservoir Dogs. There's so many. Indiana Jones films. There's even a Snoopy film coming out this year, and by shit, I'll tell you what, I'm going to see it. It looks pretty good, actually. I don't care what anyone thinks about that, but it looks really, really good. I just hope they don't put any shitty bubblegum music in it, like they usually do at end credits, just to show who the celebs are that are wording these characters. Now, I hope they don't do that. That's sick. That stinks. That does it. I hate it. But yeah, so there you go. I've got plenty of good films. But I did always like Rocky 4. But there we go, that's me. Right. Will you take requests for Let's Plays and shit game times? Excellent question. This time I'd like to announce yes, that is happening. You will see a video if you go on my main page and you scroll down a little bit. You'll see a section of Let's Plays and shit game times. And the first video, the one to the left, you'll see is a video where you can put your requests. You will be in a waiting queue, of course, but yes, I will be taking requests. But there's a couple of conditions. Number one is they mustn't be adventure or role-playing type of games, like Populous, the Zelda games, you know what I'm on about, first-person shooters. They've got to be the traditional two-player shoot-em-ups, arcade games, if I've got them. Pretty much anything for the Mega Drive or Master System, anything for the Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum, same for the Amstrad. What else is there? Could we do Atari 800 XL? That's a possibility. PlayStation 1, possibility. I have to burn discs to do that. But cartridge games like your Mega Drive, no, Mega Drive's fine because I've got that collection thanks to that EverDrive. But when it comes to other systems like Nintendo's, PlayStation 3s, PlayStation 4s, Xboxes, no, that's an absolute no. Your Amiga, yeah, that's fine. If I haven't got it, I might have to send away from it, which means you'll be on a waiting list, of course. But if it's on my channel, if I've uploaded it, there's a good chance I've still got those games, especially the good games. But if there's shit Amiga games on there, I've probably erased them. But yeah, yes, there will be a chance for you to put your requests in for Let's Plays and shit game times. Okay, next guy is, so thanks to Kakis for your questions, that's cool. Next one is by Grave Centipede. What line of work are you in? Let's put it this way, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. Next question, do you read or like Retro Gamer magazine? I think I touched up on that a bit earlier. I don't actually read them. Yeah, I don't go out of my way to read them anymore. I don't feel the need to, especially when you've got internet now and you can look up games on that. So no, I don't read much magazines. What modern games do you like? Well, it depends. Do you mean homebrew games or do you mean actual up-to-date games? The most up-to-date game I like was Wipeout HD stroke Fury. That is a fucking fantastic game. That's the sole reason I've got my PS3. That's an incredible game. Homebrew games, you know, up-to-date games made from old game machines. I love Dung Darak by Death Squad, who I'm involved in now. That's just not just because I'm involved in that. I just absolutely love that game, Dung Darak, where you're clearing up a hippo shit using a dung beetle. That's really good. That is. Invasion of the Zombie Monsters, I think that was another good game, modelled very much off of Ghost and Goblins. Brilliant. That's on my channel, long played. Check that out for the Spectrum. Oh, there's quite a few homebrew games. I can't think off the top of my head what they are, but when it comes to modern machines, I'm not into their PS4s and Xboxes because they're mostly first-person shooters, and it's not my genre at all. I'm not into those type of games. So yeah, PS3 Wipeout HD is the most up-to-date game that I like. So thanks for those questions there, mate. I think that's it actually for as far as them. But we're going on to, let's have a look. Oh, we got a few more questions here. Sorry. This is from Ash81B4U. Hello, mate. Thanks very much again for lending me certain PS2 games. That was brilliant of you. Don't hassle this guy to do it, by the way. I'll put a link to his channel. He's done a great job uploading certain games and showing off his collection. But I thank you again, pal. You come to my aid on the PS2 games, lending them me. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, you're a good man, mate. Well done. Your questions are salt and vinegar or prawn cocktail? I assume you mean crisps. Salt and vinegar is really gorgeous, but prawn cocktail, mate, they are absolutely gorgeous. Whether they're Walker's, Pringles, or McCoy's crisps, is prawn cocktail. And I don't really like fish. I don't like tuna. I don't like salmon. There's a lot of fish I certainly don't eat sushi, you know. So you think of prawn cocktail being a fish, you think, nah. But I remember as a kid trying it for the first time, and I loved them, and I've loved them since this day. So prawn cocktail, mate. How about a top 20 games of all time video? That would be a tough one. I'll have to think about that. It's possible, but of course it would be the Zeus favourite. I can't say whoever else's favourite is, so it would be mine. That's a possibility. So we'll think about that one, mate. Cup of tea and a digestive, or cider and Pringles? I like all of them but cider. I can't stand the drink. So let's replace that with another drink. Let's say a Guinness or something. So a cup of tea and a digestive, or Guinness and Pringles. It's a cup of tea and a digestive, mate. Call me old school, but I do like my cup of coffee. I actually like coffee preferred than tea, but yes, I do like my cuppa and a nice biscuit. So yeah, there you go. How many games is the wife better than you at? Oh dear, now we're going to get down a bit of controversy here. Oh dear, and she's probably going to listen to this anyway, so she's wound me up quite a lot about this. None. She's not good. No one's better than me. I'm the best. So sod that. No one's better than me at my games, and she's no different. She's not better than me. But the amusing bit is a prime example with her. It happened to my mate as well on a different game. Bastards. But, you know, with her, we uploaded a game called Dragon Ninja on the Amiga. You'll see it on my channel, 2-player game. And you can see all the way through to the end. I was well ahead on points, so far ahead. And the Amiga registered her as hitting the final boss with the final blow. We were both beating the crap out of him, but she got the final hit in. It was so fast you couldn't tell, but the Amiga awarded her and gave her 100,000 points, and because of that she beat my score, so she ended up a higher place on the scoreboard. It was bullshit, you know. If you was a fly on the wall, you should have seen it. It was like, that's bollocks. I can't believe that. So she wound me up all the time. So I'm better than you up. But no, there you go. Happened to me as a mate as well. I led him all the way, and I think it was a game called Smash TV or something. You were two robotic coppers and just blasting everything away. I think it was Smash TV. I could be wrong. But at the end, he blew up. I blew up the boss. That's right. I blew up the final game boss, and while he was dying, I went through to him, and he still killed me. What's it called? The collision detection was still there, so it killed me, and you weren't allowed to continue on the last game. So we went into the treasure room and collected all the bonuses and slaughtered my score. Up until that point, I was beating him. So yeah, 2 moments that stunk. That did. That was the arcade version that I uploaded. But is the wife any? No, she ain't. So no, that's the end of that. Room for another Turrican. What do you mean? Do you think I should be a Turrican 4, or I should upload another Turrican? Well, I've done a long play of Super Turrican, and I think that's really good. That's on my hard drive at the moment. It's not uploaded on my channel. I actually preferred that than Turrican 3 on the Amiga. I didn't like Turrican 3 on the Amiga at all. It wasn't in the same class as Turrican 1 and 2. As good as it was, Turrican 1 and 2 were brilliant. I mastered those 2 games. I didn't like the 3rd game with the extendable arm. Instead they took the long laser away from it. It didn't have Manfred Trends working on it, so you could tell. And it became Mega Turrican. That's the Mega Drive version of it. I didn't like it. But Super Turrican 1, not 2, I didn't like that at all. Super Turrican 2 didn't feel like a Turrican game at all. But Super Turrican, I'd actually consider that a Turrican 3 rather than actual Turrican 3 for the Amiga. But if there was a Turrican 4, it needs to be done the same way as the Amiga. And not in a 3D kind of up-to-date Xbox/PS4 type of style. No, like if there was a Barbarian 3, the Barbarian 2, Dungeon of Drax, there was never a 3rd one. If finally a 3rd one was made, it would have to be made in the same style as the first 2 Barbarian games on the Amiga. No up-to-date 3D stuff. It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't feel part of the family. But room for another Turrican. As far as another game, yeah, I think there's always room for a Turrican. It was a great game. And the Commodore 64 Turrican 1, which was the original, I believe, that's a brilliant version too. So I love the Turrican games. I totally mastered them. But there's a Turrican 2 cheats video I've done, if you don't know about that. That's just showing you a few little tricks of the trade, which some people don't know about. That's on my channel, so check that out. Turrican 2 cheats, tricks, Turrican 2 tricks. Next question, can you send me a accelerator for my Amiga 1200? No I can't, I'm afraid. I don't even know what one is, pal, but no I can't, sorry. Last question, if we met in prison, what are you thinking about? What are you up to? Planning something? Maybe they caught me with my helicopter Apache spree. Anyway, what game would you put on first? Why prison? Anyway, so what game would I put on first? If I had to put... Oh, that's a tough one, that really is. If I had to put a game on first, a 2-player game, I love Streets of Rage 2 for the Mega Drive, that's brilliant. But I also love Chaos Engine for the Amiga 500. And I love Target Renegade for the ZX Spectrum 128K, but I know you're an Amstrad fan, so you probably prefer the Target Renegade to that, so we'll probably end up fighting. No, I'm not playing that, and I'm playing your version. So that was back in the day when machines had, when it was one game, and yet you had like 3 or 4 or 5 different versions. That was wonderful days back then. You always wonder, well, I've got it for this machine. Oh, I've got it for that machine. Oh, really? What's that version like then? Oh, it's got better music. Oh, mine's graphics much. Now, all the games, whether you got it on Xbox or PS4, the games look identical. There's no difference at all. So I would go for Target Renegade because we probably ended up arguing. I think I would have to go for the Chaos Engine, to be honest with you, and runner-up Streets of Rage 2, if I had to. So there you go, mate. So thanks for your questions. I'm going to get on to the anonymous ones now. These are questions, there's only about 6 who don't want to be named. So for question 1, what do you think of YouTube thumbs down and thumbs down system? A waste of time. I don't feel there's any use for it. I think it's a troller's toy. Yes, it's nice to have thumbs up, but the trouble is the thumbs down, to me, it's just a coward's way of ruining your 100% positive feed. No, whoever leaves a thumb down never leaves a reason why. It doesn't explain why. And that goes for signing out of places like Yahoo Mail as well, and you get articles about certain things, and then you have comments and you read them, and you could have someone losing their doing something really nice for charity, and someone would leave a comment like, I think that's absolutely brilliant. If there was a lot more people like you, this world would be such a happier place. Good for you, all the best. And it's a nice comment, and yet you'll see 2 or 3 people thumbs downing it, and you're thinking, why would you thumbs down that, you scumbags? You're just there to piss people off. You know, there's no room for you. You're just trollers. So it's a troller's toy. I don't think there's any use for it anymore. I really don't. eBay has changed theirs. You can put a negative, but you have to put a reason. So you could do that. They could introduce that. If you want to put a negative, put a reason. Is it the way it was uploaded? Didn't you like the way I played it? Is it the quality? Was it the actual game itself was crap? You know, tell us what a thumbs down, why you leave a thumbs down. So that's my answer to that. I think if that doesn't change, it's a waste of time. Just get rid of it. It's a waste of time. Next question. How many have you banned from your channel? Actually, not many. I'd say about 16 I've banned. They've either people that's just pissed me off, just talk crap, just want to slate the channel, spiteful comments. There was one I banned because they just creeped me out. They really, it wasn't nasty. I just felt creeped out by them, and I had to stop them in the end. And there was another one that would just post irrelevant comments on the videos, replying to others. It meant nothing to do with the game. So about 16 people. There's only so much I can take. I mean, there was one guy who actually signed in as another user and apologised to me to unban him, and I did. And then months later, the bastard got him and his mates and trolled me and spammed a lot of one of my videos. Luckily, I was online at that moment, so I could ban them as they came through. But there's only so much I can take. I'll give you a couple of strikes, but then that's it. So there you go. Network partnership. Yeah, again, I touched on this earlier. I have no idea what to do with that. Would I consider it? I don't know what it's in it for me. I'm too scared to do it in case I dread I can't get out of it. So I don't know much about that, I'm afraid. So sorry, I can't answer that. Would you consider being interviewed regarding retro games? I think I touched upon that earlier as well. Yes, I would. I think I would. I think that could work. I don't mind being sat down as long as I'm credited and my channel link is posted. I don't mind doing that. There was an opportunity to do it a few months back, but I hesitated, and when I got in touch, they obviously moved on to someone else. So since doing the Let's Plays and shit game times, I've got more confident with doing commentaries, so I'm quite confident now I can speak to thin air and keep it going without gassing on too much or screaming and yelling in the camera and doing noises a 3-year-old specialises in. I'm not all about that. You won't see me do that on my channel. That's a possibility. And the last question is, what is your dog's name? Well, my dog's name is Snoopy, and that's not quite him there, but my dog is a 2-year-old black Labrador. one, if not the best friend. I love him to bits. A 2-year-old black Labrador called Snoopy. I was originally going to get a white Labrador, but I just fell out in love with him. I wouldn't give him away for the world. I really wouldn't. And you might have heard him on some of my videos. I think on one of my videos he broke wind once and got me giggling. But yeah, I have mentioned him sometimes. He's sometimes snored on one of my commentaries, and he lays next to me a lot of the time when I'm doing his commentaries. So I think on Human Killer Machine I was fighting a dog, and I was saying, do you want a biscuit? Do you want a biscuit? And then he actually got alerted thinking I meant him. So I did start laughing a bit on that video. But there you go. That's him there. Snoopy. Well, it's not him there, obviously, but as Snoopy isn't a character. I love the name. I thought it was cute. To the point, regardless of the dog I got, Snoopy is going to be his name. So there you go. That's my dog's name, Snoopy. So there you go, guys. I think that's about it. All I can say is, once again, thanks a ton for getting me to 2,000 subs. I really appreciate it. I'm glad a lot of you are getting a lot out of this channel. I'm probably going to get a thumbs down on this as well, which is what I touched up about the thumbs up and thumbs down. So if you do thumbs down me, whatever, it doesn't mean anything. I certainly won't be leaving sleep over it, and unless you leave a reason why, then your thumbs down doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. So this video is more to say thank you to those viewers out there who really do appreciate what I'm doing. So thanks a ton, guys. And with that in mind, just in closing on this, I'm going to leave you with a little treat, as I did with my 1,000 subscription video. I'm going to leave you with a nice spiral effect and a couple of bits of music, and the music is taken from the Amiga AGA version of Rockets. There's a couple of bits of music on there I think are just cool. So all I can say is sit back, relax, get spaced out, whatever, and enjoy the music. And once again, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Now let's get to 3,000 subs. Take care, guys. All the best, and please keep spreading my channel around as best as you can. Zeus out.